Let's see whether or not we're streaming. I'll reload my Twitch tab. Well, it seems we're streaming, so well, let's get started. Today I'm going to finish with the reserialization, I hope, and that should be okay. I've created some basic ideas of what we're doing. Basically, we're replacing the concept of these ships, and no longer are they even going to be saved in this format. And that might create a little complexity for us if we're not careful how we do it, so that's why I took my time thinking about it. That said, I didn't come up with any particularly good ideas. I just kind of decided that it was going to work out as I originally thought of it, so whatever. With that in mind, what we've got to do is create the blueprint class, or rather, we've got to recreate the blueprint class. What we're doing is we are saving spaceships as serialized blueprints. There's a couple of ways to do that. The old way was to just save this as a prefab, but we also have the blueprint function, blueprint class, like this. And these are just references that find the ship that it references. So if we wanted to find the Blumpo or the Donkey McShipface, this is just a link to the ship. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to make it a serialization of the ship. So let's open it up. While we're waiting, I might as well post some more to Twitter here. That looks like a bad load, so let's go ahead and start over. Alright, so this is quite a simple setup, and you can see that we say public ship. We're going to leave that for now. We'll put in a little tooltip. Obsoleted. Hopefully going to be destroyed soon. With the idea being that hopefully we won't even have a ship object. We'll just have a bunch of text. The serialization. Who knows, we may have to do some kind of more complicated setup. I haven't quite got it all worked out yet, but it should... Let me bump the mic. I'm sure that was fun to listen to. It should be fairly straightforward. What we're going to want is the ability to create these blueprints in any number and put them all into this resources section. I'm not actually sure whether or not I want to create these blueprints as objects, as asset objects. It might be better if I create them as text files, in which case I don't need to do it like this because they're already being saved in the character. Oh, crap. I thought of something and it got me all confused again. Hello, 6 of 10. So we already have the character, individual player objects here. So if we take a look at our resources, user data, default, these two ships are actually already serialized. And that's enough for us to create a ship from them. Maybe that should be what we do. Let's go ahead and put the blueprint on hold here. Let's go ahead and move this tooltip out and just comment on this whole thing. Very obsolete. And what we're going to do is we're going to remake our ship loading system. So over in our garden, this scene contains all of our assets for actually playing the game as far as you can play it already. And when we hit play, we can go over to the planet and build a ship. And we've got this needs to go away. That's really obsolete. But you can see how it has these three. These are the blueprints, and we've loaded them up. What we're going to do instead is we're going to load from the character saved objects. We can also load from other, other people's saved objects as well. It doesn't have to be limited to the player, the one player. I keep saying character and player interchangeably here. It's just the player. There is no character yet. First things first, our old system has to go. That little divot. Now, where was it? Mouse cursor. Kaboom. And the universe doesn't have to be a canvas either. We'll leave it as a canvas for now, but we'll turn it off, like so. Let's make sure this works. Yeah. And there's our Blumpo. So what we're going to do today is replace that system with a method of creating the ship from a serialization. So to do that, we're going to want to start with the object that loads those ships up. And that is our blueprint visual. So the blueprint visual is, I think it might just be the text that gets displayed. So right here we have this issue where we're linking to a blueprint, and we actually want that to link to a serialized string. Let's go ahead and close all of the other things down and continue to roll this out so we can remember where it's going, because we have a couple of other classes here. So the UI should have the object that I need. There's the blueprint visual. Maybe it is the blueprint visual. I don't think so, though. Let's go ahead and load it up and press pause and see what it is. Bang. So if we look at where we are now, I think it's the build menu. Here it is. It's all saved already. It just gets enabled. So the build menu is a build menu script. Oh, that's under player controls. That's why I couldn't find it. I was looking under ships. It's obviously not a ship. So the build menu is what's going to load up all of these blueprints. And you can see that here. We've got the blueprint visual prefab, and we've got a list of all of the blueprints. We're going to replace this with a list of all of our strings, all of our serializations. Now, I don't think that we have a ship serialization class. I think it's just a string. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Make this into a string. Like so. Similarly, over here, we're going to make this into a string. And this into a string. And here we say build menu.build and then pass it the blueprint. So when we say for this build menu to build something, we're going to give it a string, like so. For now, we're going to go ahead and comment all of this out and just put in a debug. Debug.log warning, building temporarily disabled. So when we go to load up all of our blueprints, we do that here. Here's where we actually find all the blueprints. So this has to be a string, and we're going to go ahead and these raw serializations are a bit rough for trying to find the expenses as they stand. So for now, we'll just go ahead and return true. Debug.log blueprint prices not being calculated. By the way, if you have any questions or don't know what's going on or whatever, say hello. It looks like I've only got a couple of viewers right now, and at least one of them has their sound off. But welcome to Apollyon and Peter Nerlich and Pink Hair. I don't know whether 6 of 10 is still here because he's not showing up in the chat list. So here, this is what happens. We say blueprints equals resources.load all blueprints. What we actually want to do is load up all of our serializations from the user file. So if we take a look at the user UI elements that we have, user IO rather, we have the option to save all of this stuff, and when we want to, we can load it up as a player file. So basically, we're going to want that player file, and it's already loaded up. Or it might not be actually, because this is in Awake, and this is also in Awake. So down here, we're going to want to load it up. Either that, or we'll want to move the build menu. It might be better to just move the build menu back a step. But anyhow, universe.io dot... we should go ahead and make that player file a statically referenceable object. There we are. Get return live.user file. There you are. So here we can say user file or player file. File equals universe.io.file, and then we can just take a look inside and see how many ships we've got. And there we have. These are key pair workaround lists because the ships are being stored as a key pair. That is the name of the ship and then the serialization. So what we're going to want to do is just make those our ships. So we don't even need this string of blueprints, because that's not how we're going to store it. We're storing it as a key pair system, but each ship has a name and a serialization. The difficulty is that later on we're going to want to load up multiple files, and we will end up with quite a list. But for now, we don't need this because we can just find the player file. So debug player file contains, I'll put that here actually. And then just universe.io.file.ships.count blueprints. We're going to want to actually add a universe.io into this setting. Right now we don't have one because it was only in our test bed. There we are. Should work. But obviously what's happening is we want to initialize that and create all of these variations that we need. So to do that, what we're going to want to do is use key pairs. So for int is a equals 0. Let's go ahead and pull the file over to just reduce the number of references. So player file equals universe.io.file. And then here we'll say file.ships.count. And we'll here say to do. So 6 of 10 is having internet problems. Is everyone else able to see fine? If anyone else is watching, because I can always reboot the stream if necessary. To do iterate over selected files such as defaults. So we're going through all of these ships, and we're saying if not valid, file.ships a, then continue. So for valid, we're going to want to not just make it the blueprint. Well, we could make it the blueprint, because all we need to do is pass it the value. Data. Pink hair can see me okay, so I'm going to presume that 6 of 10 is having other issues. Pink hair isn't really listening to my awesome monologues about trying to get this data system to flow properly. Just shocked. I can't believe you. So here is where we initialize it, and what we're going to want to do is pass it the key pair value, file.ships.a. So if we go over into our blueprint visual, we're going to want to accept a key pair value. So here we're going to say this isn't a string, it's a key pair. Now the only reason we're using this key pair workaround is because the JSON utility system doesn't actually know how to serialize dictionaries, so we basically just created a dictionary. But that means that what we can do is say name equals ship.key, nametext.text equals name. Now we don't actually keep the description yet, so right now we're going to have to say to do serialize descriptions. And then we're going to say thumbnail.sprite equals blueprint. Okay, so this also has to be redone. To do re-add thumbnails. Of course, we never had thumbnails in the first place. They were just white boxes, so. Pink Hair says he might watch this and try and dissect it later. Feel free. I can't say that this is going to be particularly awesome. All I'm doing is making all of that serialization connect up to the front end so that players can actually spawn the ships that they have saved. Whether that means creating a new version or just referencing a ship that's already in the universe. So, this is not going to be a string, it's going to be a key pair workaround. Build string.blueprint is going to be a key pair workaround. Alright, so for now, let's go ahead and see what sort of errors we're getting. Cannot convert string to key pair workaround. So here, we're saying that we're just passing it the data. To tell you the truth, we only need to pass it the data. Because we'll be looking inside that data to find a link to each of the modules that is included in the ship. Is that really our only error? All right, well, let's take a look here. So if we take a look, it says found 2 ships belonging to default. Let's go ahead and see how it looks when we go over into Earth orbit and see that we've got our Blumpos. There we go. Yeah, da 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 da. Unfortunately, doesn't work. So we have to finish this by allowing it to create the ship. People are actually talking. Peter Nerlich says, I got some problems with Twitch, which are not new to me. It looks like Twitch does not stream enough data to me despite having plenty of bandwidth left. I hope it is not our ISP. I think that a lot of ISPs throttle streaming, so it might be. I can't really help you too much with the problems that are on your end, but if it's because of something wrong with the stream, let me know. Like if my stream is uniquely shitty, please tell me. Pinker says, I've been putting all into making that complicated drag and drop interface, so I really would like to be able to properly save. This is ideal. This process is ideal for saving your drag and drop interfaces because it saves the references as a name rather than an in-project ID number, allowing you to look it up or create duplicates no matter what changes on later. But you could go either way. If there's a lot of things you can do if you want to. I say this is ideal, but it's a very enterprisey solution. It's got a lot of overhead. Peter Nerlich says that he's having a lot of problems with it buffering every 10 seconds or so. Is that something that you commonly find, or is that unique to my shitty stream? So what we're going to want to do here is have a ship blueprint. Ship prefab. And this is just going to be an empty ship prefab. So tooltip, empty ship prefab. Yeah, I don't know exactly what your situation is, Pink Hair, but the big advantage to serializing in this way is that you're not serializing the objects. You're just serializing what their names are. And that's often very straightforward, much more straightforward than serializing the whole object. So you're not serializing the color of the button or the text on the button. You're just serializing the name of the button, and you have a giant list of buttons, and you know which one you're talking about. Well, Unity serialization is under the lid. You don't get to see it unless you dig really, really deep. I'm using JSON utility serialization so that I can use Unity serialization and just kind of say that's its own thing and not worry about it. Basically, I want to keep the number of unique items in the game pretty low. Only a couple thousand rather than a couple billion. So the ships don't have their own unique variants on every single engine or anything like that. And the way of just referencing which modules are on the ship means that I don't have to save those modules, full. I just have to save names to them and what's changed. Of course, with you might not even have to save what's changed. Just their names might be enough. Well, if you do find that my system is particularly obnoxious, my stream is particularly obnoxious, Peter, let me know. Also, sorry about the sirens in the background. Apparently, it is not a very law-abiding Saturday. For now, let's go ahead and just copy this part. I got something annoying stuck in my teeth. I was like, I normally get hungry by the time these stream ends, so I'll eat something before the stream. Oh, so now I'll have the entire stream with stuff stuck in my teeth. Brilliant, brilliant. So ship target ship equals our prefab. And we instantiate it. We set the blueprint up to reference it, except for our blueprint is not going to work. So we'll just comment that out. To do, leave a trackable reference. Name, class name, rather than just ship name. That way you can have ships of class such and such, and you won't have to worry about when you change their name, something else happens. Target ship.name equals universe.get place name. That's good. That'll set it up as something fun. Set up the planet, set up the transform, set the local scale, and then of course, you know what we need to do? Actually make the ship load our serialization. So target ship dot serialization. We don't have a deserialize function yet, do we? So let's open up the ship and put in a deserialize function. So here we've got deserialize parts, but we don't have an actual deserialize a string. So public void deserialize, not serialize. String serialization. So what we want to do is make that array workaround work for us. So array workaround equals JSON dot from JSON array workaround serialization. Later on, we may have to change this because there are things here that we're not serializing right now. For example, the description of the ship. So that's obviously something we're going to need to work on. But this should work for now. And then we'll just go ahead and say that parts serialization equals dot array, and then we can say deserialize parts. Good enough. So we'll hop on over to our build menu again and do just that, deserialize, and then pass it our serialization. So blueprint.value data. Shall we see if this works? Well, we're going to need to set up a ship prefab before we can do anything. So let's hop on over to our prefabs. I guess our resources are where we've put them in the past here. So we don't actually have any real prefab ships. Any real empty ship prefabs. This is the closest we've got, and it's not actually empty. So let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit here. That should do. So we'll just save it. Parts transform is here. And the meta transform is correct. Components list, no component list. Apply. We're going to have to do a lot of serialization. Right now we only serialize the parts transforms, or the parts rather. We don't serialize the manufacturer or the description or any of that stuff. So we're going to have to serialize more stuff in the near future. 6 of 10 says, "Did you get that tedious coding done?" I'm doing it right now. Are you not watching? So I'm afraid that if you are not looking for tedious coding, if you are allergic to tedious coding, this is going to be a bad day for you, because that's all I plan to do today. It's the build menu. So now what happens when we click? So we got some errors. Let's take a look here. Let's walk through it. The referenced script on this behavior is missing. Instantiating 4 parts. The referenced script is missing. Resources.load all catalog manifest. Quote. So debug loaded manifests dot length. How is the referenced script catalog manifest or load all? What's missing here? That's super weird. I wonder what the heck that is. That's... Do we have a corrupt element? We might have a corrupt element. I'll have to think about that. 6 of 10 was focusing on his own issues and not on mine. So it looks like we have an issue with loading up manifests. Some kind of weird bug. This might have to be a little bit more carefully done. Well, as you can see, An Afternoon didn't get fully loaded up. It got one of its parts, but it has like 4 parts, I think. More than just one, anyway. So it crashed midway through our population of this system. And the question is, why? We got a lot of random comments in the code, or in the console. So there might be something there. But also, I think that what happened is we just saved... Yeah, we just saved that busted-ass ship here in our setup. That's interesting. It is saving a whole bunch of those details that it doesn't need to save. Because it was broken. That's why. All right. 6 of 10 says, in the next tech demo, will it be just shipbuilding? I don't know yet. Creating the ship flying isn't too hard, but I'm not sure if there's any point to it, because it's not going to be... It's just going to be one ship. I mean, it might be cool just to have that shit animated and on the screen, but there's really no game mechanic for flying. The closest we've got is there are game mechanics for going from planet to planet, but that won't be in the next release. I think I might limit myself to just building them at the moment, and then I will work back in all of the functionality that has been kind of overlooked. So one detail that we're going to need is right now we have this situation where we end up adding a ship whenever we awake, and we're not going to want to do that. Oh no, wait, we do want to add the ships. Ships.add. So that's just a list of all of the active ships. That's fine. What we don't want to do is serialize our ship, because we're going to be just putting it in and then not saving it for now. Later on, we will want to figure out how to do our saving, but not the moment. So we're going to hit play. Clear this. Hop on over here. Clear this. And hit the Blumpo here. So there's a whole bunch of errors for us. So it says it's instantiating 4 parts. In the long run, it only instantiates 1, the fuel tank. And here it says the referenced script is missing. Now I don't know what's going on here, because all I'm doing is telling it to load a manifest, or rather load all manifests. How could there be a missing script? Hmm. Six of 10 is leaving. Goodbye, 6 of 10.